We are live. You know, I think I'll start. There's one question I got. I mean, there was a bit of, deep diving around fixed price and cost plus and all that sort of stuff. And, what I know some pretty gnarly coaches, in the construction business. And I know I can see the advantages. I'm a builder. I'm a carpenter by trade. And if I can just give you a ballpark and give a client a ballpark, and here we go. Here's a question. I want to be a contractor trying to learn all I can. Attaboy, Randall. Yeah, keep it up. Nutsack is back. Yeah, happy Friday to you too, champ. So it might be a good place to start because I think there's such a diverse, I had one gunslinger having a crack at me, about when the video I made about, getting off the tools, and he's like, well, I've got my boss does a couple of $1 million a year and he's on the tools every day. And I'm like, I didn't get into that dude because I'm just like, all those who think you can run a $2 million business and spend 40 hours on the tools, I could be wrong. Like I told him, I said at 27 years of age, I had a 15 carpenter crew. So I was already, now the reason I did that is because I was following a guy who by the time he was 30, he was a multi-millionaire and he just finished building a 36-story high-rise on the coast. So Phil was an absolute gunslinger from day one, and I was following that. So I'm like, well, I ain't going to spend the rest of my life on the tools. So, I've never tried to build a $2 million business. I built a $1.1 million, townhouse development, did almost a couple of $1 million a year, and I had a superintendent, an admin, and an estimator. So I can't say that I've ever built a $2 million business and done it on the tools because I just haven't. And I don't know whether that makes me a little bit more sharper, but I really think, look, we've got a few more. Max Tarchi, we've got Landon's in the room as well. Scott just joined us. Inspect 2020 just joined with us. So, look, that video got me a bit of, a bit of hate, but, it is what it is. But the difference between cost plus and fixed price is very much around moving from let's say a commodity like a can of Coke or whatever to a service. And, but it focuses more on nailing down the value for the client, the security and the peace of mind. And then, of course, because you offer the higher security and the more predictability, you can then start charging a premium. Now, that's all cute and everyone likes to make a bit more dough. But at the end of the day, if the client doesn't see the value, then you're never going to be able to execute efficiently and on point. And so, we talked about markups as well. And, we mark up by 45% and, on the whole, sometimes a bit more, sometimes a bit less, depending on what's going on. But, more often than not, that's the number that we're shooting for. And I hear other business coaches in the industry saying that on renos, you should be marking up as high as 55%. Like, holy shit. So, it really does come down to what, I've got guys in my group that swore black and blue they'd never be able to mark up by 45% and win. They were stuck at 30%, which is essentially like a 25% gross margin. Today, right now, this is the two things. He's quoting at 45% markup on renos, and he says, my clients are so much easier and better to work for. Go figure. And that's from a guy who told me it was impossible. So if it can happen to that old mate, it certainly can happen to most folks. So, look, let's go. Let's go with...
we don't have any questions. We can go off the sheet.
No, we got questions from during the week. Let's go with the sheet. Let's go. Let's do that.
How do you deal with bad clients?
Oh, look, it depends on, the way I deal, let's call it challenging clients, right? I think that it all comes down to how it is that they come. Because when we say bad clients, they're not maybe doing what we want. They maybe not acting the way we want them to. They're maybe not complying with the whole process. So really it comes down to the backstory. I would honestly say that I've had some challenging situations with clients, but I don't think I've ever had a bad client. Okay, here's a question. Cole Rogers, what do you do when the concrete truck shows up early? Yeah, you either pay waiting time or this is the thing, right? I guess, thanks, Cole. Hey, look, I think, again, it just depends on, how you're situated. But I would say if I had, I'd love to know where Cole's from. Are you North America, Cole, or are you in Oz? Whereabouts you from, champ? Let us know. If I've got a truck, let's say I ordered a concrete truck for 6:30 a.m., right? And he rolls up at 6 o'clock. Before that guy gets out of the truck, I'm going up there. I'm going to climb up the side. G'day, Jacob. Hey, and I would climb up the side of his truck before he's opened his door. And I said, mate, you know you're here 20 or 30 minutes early, don't you? Now, I don't know what Cole's talking about. Yeah, he's from Oklahoma. Yeah, I would climb up the side of his truck and go, mate, you understand that I ordered you for, 6:30 and you're here at 10 after. You know I'm not paying any waiting time. You understand that, don't you? So, look, I think concrete was one company that, my suppliers were always good to, negotiate with. And he's like, mate, I'm just doing what I was told. I'm here. And I'm like, all right, hold the phone, keep it rolling, and I'll ring head office. And all I want to do is I'm happy to pay waiting time from 6:30 onwards because that's when I ordered concrete. But if he rocks up 20 minutes early, there's no way. Now, at the end of the day, the truckie also has the option to waive any waiting time. Now, he'll have some explaining to when he gets back, but I won't sign off. If the guy's adamant that he's putting waiting time on it, I'm not signing the docket. Forget about it. Take it up with your boss, or I will as well. So, I hope that helps, man. I think Max Corner.
We have something before that.
Okay, give us the one before that.
Nutsack asked, where are you located and are you hiring? 20 years in sales and I'd love to work for you.
Nutsack, mate, where are you at? I got a feeling he's Aussie based. Nutsack, tell me where you're at, man, because welcome, Amy. Thanks for joining in. Cockeyed, welcome. Kenneth Bryan, welcome. Because you probably can't work for me if you're in Melbourne because we're just northeast of Vancouver, about 4.5 hours in the Okanagan Valley. So let's see. Let's come back to him, eh?
Yeah. Okay. Max Corner asked, any tips on moving locations of a glass business, trying to move from Houston, Texas to Austin?
Mate, I would love to know. See, I'm always looking. See, you've asked me about the question is the question, but I'm like, how come? I don't know. My team won't even know how far it is between Houston and Austin. Like what the geographical difference is. I would love to know. Right, any tips on moving locations? He wants to move from Houston to Austin. I would love to know why he's doing that. Whether or not he thinks there's more opportunity in Austin. In Texas,
it's around 3 hours.
So it's about 300 Ks. Okay. Yeah. I'm wondering what's going on down there. Father-in-law's business. I'm saying he's not consuming. I'd say that's a typo. Maybe controlling. Yeah. I tell you what, Max. Just email me, dude, at max@businessforbuilders.ca. His daughter has a job in Austin. Yeah. Right. So we got family. And then it's like, okay, so how big's the plant? How many clients are you going to lose if you do make the move? Like, there's so many things, Max, that you've got to really weigh up. Obviously, family first. I don't disagree with that. I moved to Canada because the wife's folks moved back from Australia back to Canada because that's where they wanted to retire. That's where my wife was born. And so, and it took me 3 years to decide to do that. And it was, I would say to you right now, that was the worst financial move I've ever made. That was the highest risk move I've ever made. But you know what? It was family first. And you know what? Shit worked out okay. And that's essentially what's going on. So, maybe just email me, Max, and we can jam around that whole scenario. Might even be happy to give you a call, champ, if it helps cut to the chase a bit quicker. Next question. Let's go.
Legs Zevs. Hi, Max. I'm from OZ.
That's Oz, mate. That's Oz. Remember, you know where you were born, bro?
Yeah, I remember.
I got my boy on the other side here. Go, lock and load. Let's do it.
Run a successful business. How do I trust taking on new employees?
You don't. You hire quickly and you fire quickly with kind candor. In other words, everyone's good on their first day in their resume, and you have a probation period of 90 days. So even in all of my employee contracts, I make sure that there's a 90-day, so there's no such thing as extended medical benefits until on the 91st day. Nobody can fake it for 90 days. Sooner or later, something will rattle their cage. It will expose to you that person isn't going to work out or they're not comfortable working out in your business. And as much as, I could analyze, and look, there is some processes where you can be a pretty shrewd kind of, recruiter, if you like, or employer. But sometimes, sometimes you want to give like the attitude and skills thing. Like you could have a guy who's a freaking ninja and he puts out a shit ton of work and does really great work, but he doesn't play well with the other boys and girls. And sometimes it's like, dude, you create so much friction for me, I've got to let you go. And, it's hard because he's your biggest producer. But what that is it's a move that's all based on long term. And so the ability for you to create a really positive and productive culture, because if the other guys are hating the number one producer, that is going to make your life misery in the long term anyway. So look, that's how I'd separate that. So what do we got next? Who's next? We've got a couple on.
Spencer from IG.
Yeah, got it. Go.
Anything to do outside of working hours to learn more throughout a carpentry apprenticeship?
Yeah, here's what I've been saying to a lot of guys that are, or girls have been talking to me about, hey, I want to, once I get my apprenticeship, how do I go at my own? And I would say that's a great question. That shows a level of maturity that I probably haven't seen much of. And I think I might have even said this to you, Spencer, is that, dream big, start small, systemize the shit out of everything. Focus on business development and financial management, right? Things like doing cost engineering. So where you do an estimate and you'll create a budget for a project, and I'm talking fixed price, that's all I do. And then of course, when you go and build the project, you're generating purchase orders so you can back cost and apply your actual spend to your estimated spend and see whether or not you've spent more or spent less. Okay, so that's really doing that analysis. So that's one side that's the estimating side of the figures. And then something else you might want to consider is looking at how to analyze your business on a monthly basis, either overages or under. So overbilling, underbilling, we call it work in progress accounting, double entry bookkeeping, things like that. So, financial assessment, financial management is a big deal. You've really got to work out. Always know what your equity position in your company is. This is why I say there's too many of us, and I say us because I reckon I cocked it up royally in the first 10 years, 15 years that I was doing it, because you're out there doing your best, right? But I know that if I had the advice like that to go and study business development protocols and procedures and financial management systems and start to understand those fundamentals, doing your apprenticeship will be fine. It'll take care of itself. I was probably the most greenest, useless friggin' first year apprentice you've ever seen. But over time, we just keep doing it over and over again. And so we get to a point where, like as a third year apprentice, I was on a 70-30 split with Reno doing frames. So, that skillful side, the operational side, this is what I do for a living side, the practitionership side, that will get sorted in the 4-year apprenticeship, no problem. Great question. While you're doing it, this is what you should be focused on. Now, as well as, go ahead. Have you got, who asked me that question? Was that Max?
Spencer.
Oh, that was Spencer. So yeah, Spencer, as you're doing your apprenticeship, I would start digging around. And of course, I'm talking a little bit about it, but it gets that double entry bookkeeping, the work in progress accounting, back costing, or cost engineering. That's some pretty heavy duty shit to just talk about on a podcast. But we might give it a crack. But if I keep banging on about that, people are going to go, yeah, okay, we've heard you say it. Now we want some steak and potatoes, dude. What's up? How about dishing a bit of that up? So maybe I can break that down into some 15-minute podcasts, separate those subject matter, and just bang out 3 podcasts with it. So that's what I would do. What do we got? Who's next?
Tamal from TikTok.
What was his name?
Tamal.
Okay.
I think so.
Right.
Could you give a pitch example? Please demonstrate how you show value.
Yep. Sweet. Okay, so let's say the leads come in through our system. We send out WhatsApp messages with all of the data, all the contact details. I get that. I'll ring up Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner. I book a meeting for Friday afternoon, right now, 3:30. Knock on the door. And so this is dead set. Knock on the door, walk in, a little bit of small talk. They might have a nice little dog or a big friggin' dog. And, but what I'm there to do, 3 things. First thing is I've got to work out. This is my end game I've already started to think about before I've even knocked on the front door. I've got to make sure that we're trying to design something that's functional. We're going to try to design something that's financially suitable. And we've got to design something that's got great street appeal. Okay? So they're the 3 things. There's no point in organizing something that works great, looks good, but it costs $100,000 more. So those 3 things, right? We'll have to maybe put that on the video. Okay, so I walk in, knock on the door, some small talk. And you know, this is exactly how I started. And my staff is here and they would have heard me say this. We'll get to that point, and remember, I'm leading the process. They're going to buy in accordance with my selling process. I'm not going to sell in accordance with their buying process. So I will pivot on that automatically, and I will say, so tell me a story. What do you love about your home? What do you hate about your home? Okay? So then, of course, now I just shut my mouth and I open my ears and I write. Okay, so I'm going through that whole process of taking notes. I haven't got my measuring tape out yet. I'm listening, because remember what I'm trying to line up is I'm trying to line up the function and how it's going to look good if we do it, right? Because I haven't got to the dollars yet. I'm going to get to the dollars in a minute, right at the back end of the conversation. So they're oh yeah, well we love this about our kitchen, but we really hate this, and we've got a great view out there, but there's no window. We'd really love to get to the basement. We haven't got an interior set of stairs, or we've got a great view out there. We'd like to have a deck. And like, this conversation would go for 20 to 30 minutes potentially. I don't let that go any 30 minutes. Right. Then the next thing we do is I'm going to talk to them and I'll say, look, do you have any, do you have a budget expectation? Now, understand, guys and girls, they're not builders, so don't ask them what their budget is. Because what, have they done a spreadsheet and calculated lumber costs and shit? No, they have not. So I always say to them, this is what I'll do. I'll go, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, or Mr. Homeowner or Mrs. Homeowner, what's your budget expectations? And I know for a fact that that will rattle them. They'll take a step back. They're like, and straight away, before they speak a word, I'll say, look, I know that I'm a builder and I will have trouble giving you an exact number. But what I can say from my experience is that between doing that kitchen and the deck and the basement remodel, you're probably looking at about $180,000 as just a slick ballpark figure. What was your budget expectation? Did you have a number in your head that you thought it might come down to? And then, of course, what happens is they will go, oh, Max, that's like twice what I expected to pay. Right? Now, they might actually be, they might go, but we will trust you if that's where you think the number is. Then we're sort of happy to sort of keep talking about it. Now, if they say, oh, no, I can't believe that, Max, that should only be $100,000, that's all we think. The next question I ask them is, so Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, what research did you do to come up with that $100,000? Don't say a word. Watch what happens. They will fumble. Well, or don't we love the HGTV renovation shows? Such a wealth of information that's completely inaccurate and unrealistic and outdated, to be honest. And so at that point, what I'm doing is I am building rapport, because I want them to understand that I don't want to be arrogant, but I am an authority. Now, for me, I've been playing this game for 33, almost 34 years, right? And I'm pretty sure I'm not getting off track here. So what I've just done is I'm always be qualifying. So if they're adamant that $100,000 is all they've got, then I will have to basically just close the deal on that appointment and say, look, let's keep talking, but it looks like that, if my expectation is over here, then, and I'm here and you're here, then we've got a little bit of a problem. So I don't think that my price is going to come down much. And if you can't get any more finance, then we haven't got a deal. Now, so if they say, no, okay, well, Max, what can you do to give us a little bit more accuracy around that? And I'd say, okay, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, what I can do, I think I'm about the 180 mark. But what I'm going to do is I can go back, I can go back to my office and I can run it through my job management software, my estimating program. I can pay a little bit more attention to it. Now, I'm doing this free of charge right now, okay? I can put it into my job management software. And then what I'll do is I'll come back to you with a price range, okay? Now, at that point, that'll give you a little bit more of a firmer understanding of where I'm coming from, a little bit more about what's included, and then we can go from there. Now, at that point, what I might say to the client is, okay, what I'll do is I'd love to run around, take some measurements, take some video, and take some pictures, right? And then I can go back to my office and it'll help me. I can then process, I can literally do a virtual build in my head and work out whereabouts, the costs are going to be. So what I'm doing is I'm really walking with the client, and they're starting to see the value without me really presenting value. But as I'm talking, they go, okay, it's very practical, and the guy sounds fairly confident, and it sounds like he's done it before, and they start to trust. People do business with people that they know, like, and trust. And that's what we've got to do, general contractors. We have to win their trust, because what you and I have got to do to win these jobs is remove the reluctance to commit. And that takes time. And then we talk about touch points and things like that, right? And so then I go away. So I've got photos. Okay, I'm going to go away. And what I do is I email them that night. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, great to catch up with you today and chat really briefly about your project. We talked about some rough budget numbers and some basic specifications. I've had a bit of a think about it. I've run the numbers through my system. What I've got for you is that project, in actual fact, is going to be somewhere between 180 and 225,000. Now, and then I say, furthermore, it includes, this is what we're going to do. We're going to renovate the kitchen, stone countertops. I'm going to give a really brief, quick dot point email on what's included. And so then what we do, and I say we, because this is what Smith & Sons does, is we offer them, this is where the value starts to kick in. And I can't remember who asked me the question. It doesn't matter. We'll come back to that. This is where the value starts kicking in. I say, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, look, what we can do for you is I offer a quantity takeoff service whereby we nail down exactly what's included, how long the project is going to take, and the fixed price to do said project. Okay, but for us to do that, and on a $180,000 job, we might charge between $850 and $1,250 or $1,500 to do that. Now, they might go, oh, okay, so what do we get for that? And I'll say, well, you'll get the fixed price, project duration, and you will get the, what I leave out? Fixed price, project duration, and the list of specifications and inclusions, okay? And so what they're looking at is, then what they'll go is, well, Max, we had another builder. Here you go. This is what happens. We've had another builder who basically said to me that he can do it on 120. He can do it for 125 grand. Now, I know, I've just seen a couple of guys in Oz who are part of the Smith & Sons crew just join us. Where they're from, they all do fixed price. Whereas here in North America, the cost plus thing is a bit of a deal. And so what I say to them is I say, look, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, you have got an indication and an unreliable estimate at best of 125,000. But I'm telling you, they are not going to put a completion date on their contract, because I've seen Canadian general contractors who don't even like it when I say to them, on our contracts, we have a completion date. Okay? And will they put that fixed price under contract, and will they give you a list of specifications detailing exactly, before they start construction, the specifications that you want? Okay? Now, more often than not, they do not have, they say, well, no, Max, he's just given me a one-page email and that's all I've got. So here's where I start building value. I said, well, you can take a risk over there with Mr. Cost Plus Builder, or you can spend a little bit of money, because in the commercial realm, you do what they call a feasibility study. And so when a homeowner invests $850 or $1,250 or $1,500, they're paying me to get access to my trades to give me reliable quotes, my vendors and my suppliers to give me reliable quotes, and then I put all that together. I compile that into a proposal that usually is about 15 pages long, because my specifications program allows me to add, if it is a kitchen tap set, I'll write the verbiage into a specification, and then I can actually add a picture. And so we only fit about 3 line items per page on our specifications. So if there's 25, specification items on a kitchen, they're thumbing through and they're seeing what's going on. And they're like, oh, Max, that would actually really... then there's no gray area, and we see exactly what's going on, and we know exactly what we're going to pay. And if you go to smithandsons.ca, so the Canadian version of Smith & Sons, you can listen to a dozen clients talking about their experience with a Smith & Sons general contractor, and more often than not, probably every client is going to make some remark about how they enjoyed operating under a fixed price contract. So don't listen to my big mouth. Go and listen to what our clients have to say about this whole process. So, I think when you're talking about building value, and I don't try and lump them with so much value that they just go, oh, Max, you're the god, I should just go with you. No, slowly but surely. Other things that can help build value with clients is that when I miss a phone call from them, I call them back as soon as I become available. If they email me, I email them, within a couple of hours at the latest. Like, communication is a big deal. I've just done a deal over here. There's a phone supplier, And I was dealing with the commercial division of the company that we use. He was fantastic. Then the arrangement changed where I had to now deal with a storefront. And the storefront guy really did a pathetic job. So I text back my commercial rep, and he got onto him at 7:30 last night, and I got an email. You know, I want service. I didn't even negotiate on price. I'm just saying I want to update some phones. And this guy can't give me service. What the hell's going on? And so those are really, now, the clients that talk like that are clients that more often than not are the ones that are actually more quality oriented than budget. If you've got someone that wants to know, well, you got to give me full transparency. We have this, right? They go, well, I know you said fixed price, Max, but I still want to know what it costs for all of the bits and pieces. And I would say to Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, unfortunately, I can't give that to you because that's proprietary information. And as we are designing a fixed price proposal for you, we're assuming all the risk. You don't assume any risk. We show you what you get and we show you what it costs, and you've got a decision to make whether you think that actually represents value or not. Sid Vicious just said ciao too, man. We shall enjoy. And so that's really what it comes down to, that we really want to be able to demonstrate value, not just in one phone call. And so this is what I would say. Start well, finish strong. Don't start well and impress the shit out of them. They're like, oh, you know, Max is a great builder. And then Max falls off the edge because he just, you know, business gets tough. And so he just quits communicating promptly. And whereas the clients have had this expectation, but as time goes by, your level of, you know, service as far as communication goes down, they start to get a little bit pissed because they feel like you've tricked them. Okay, so you've got to, whatever you start with as far as good quality service, you must maintain that all the way through. Otherwise, you're going to discredit yourself, and they might start accusing you of questions, of things that you've said you're going to do, and then of course at the end of the day you haven't delivered. So I'm going to move on to the next question. We got shit banking up, have we not? Yeah. Okay. Just give me the next question, Adam. I don't believe we lost your question, champ. So hang on, because he's asking to disappear. Fortunately, guys and girls, just so you know, for more of this type of information, check out the Business for Builders podcast. That'll probably help you out a lot. And also, I've got team working in the background on a Google Doc that is trapping every single question. So make no mistake. If you don't quit, we won't quit. We'll be here right to the end. We'll get through every question. I'm not sure if I can say that next episode. So we'll keep trying. We'll just keep shoveling. Let's go. Next question.
Max from IG.
Max from Instagram, yep.
What do you think about doing a cert 4 in business in TAFE for the business/admin side of things, as well as the carpentry apprenticeship, building license, etc.? Want to build a construction business?
Yeah. See, he's on it. So, dude, like he's an Aussie because he that's TAFE, technical and further education. That's what TAFE stands for. Mate, that's really huge, but it's a massive undertaking because you know you're going to have to work 8 hours a day, give or take. You know you've got to do, I think, 4 to 6 weeks. I think when I was there, it was either 4 or 6 weeks of tech college to fulfill the technical and the graphic side of doing an apprenticeship. And then you're talking about doing night school, I would imagine, at TAFE to undertake that. Look, I think I couldn't do that. No, I couldn't. Like, I just... You know, all of my report cards always used to say, if Max would concentrate, he could achieve so much more. Because I was busy looking out the window waiting for the bell to go because I just can't do classrooms. I can't even sit in my office. My team will tell you, if I got to get on a phone call, I'm walking out the front door and I'm pacing the sidewalk because I just don't want to be in the building. I need to be out in the sunshine. So the snow will fly here in about 3 months, and then I've got myself a bit of a challenge. So
3 in like 2 months.
Oh, don't say that. Dude, it's not even the end of summer yet, dude. There's 3 months.
September.
Summer doesn't finish until September 22nd. We get
snow in November, early November.
Bollocks. Canada friggin' sucks. If you're a Melbourneite, you might love the snow. But I grew up 40 minutes from the Goldie, and I miss the beach and hate the snow. Yeah. Okay, next question. Did I just answer that question? Yeah, I talked about TAFE. If you've got the mental capability and capacity, fill your boots, because I think that would be awesome to study business on the side. Let's go. Next one.
Adam's question.
Righto, here we go, Adam.
Okay, second year in my joinery apprenticeship, what are realistic progressions after qualified? And what I mean is that my goal is to make money. Your experience in this field, what would you have done differently, etc.? Understand each individual's position is different.
Now, cool. If, now, user just asked us a quick question. Are the podcasts saved? yes, it will be, but it won't be posted till tomorrow week. Like, is that what you said? Saturday week.
Next Saturday.
7 days. These are being recorded as well, and there'll be Q&As on our YouTube channel, Business for Builders. So you can rehash that whole scenario to the throughout. So I'm glad it's given you some value. Now, you've just done a joinery. I assume that's a cabinet maker.
Here's the second part. How can I progress in the most efficient way is the question.
Yeah, like define efficient. Like we're organic creatures, and so I'll always, I don't want to dodge the question, but really what it would take is what you're asking for is very customized, singular type advice. So all I can do is when I know my limitations as far as not knowing, the person and their business and what their appetite for risk is, what their attitude towards work is. I mean, I was married at 22. So, like I had responsibility straight out the gate. So, there wasn't a lot of time where I could, I worked from 16 to 20. I was married at 22. I had 15 carpenters working for me by the time I was 27. Like I was in business deep at a young age. And I know there's probably guys that done way more than I did. But really, I think if you're a joiner, and I'm going to assume that's cabinet making, I don't know if that's carpentry, finishing, and joinery. I had a carpentry joinery ticket, but if you're a joiner, I think that might be cabinet making. But, I think that the biggest challenge for young operators, and for me, I went out to try to make money. I just went out to make money as a carpenter and tried to hack it that way. But I soon worked out that working for supervisors or superintendents is what they do is they really limit and they only do what's best for them. And I found that there was a lot of limitations placed on me, so it was hard for me to develop a big business to be able to, generate the kind of income and lifestyle that I wanted. So then I was super motivated, third time round to go get my builder's license. Now, if you understand that, and nobody coached me, I mean, we just got nothing. Like I did my time between 89 and 93. So late 90s, it was just every man for himself. There was nobody talking to me. There was no freaking TikTok lives and YouTube and shit. Like seriously. Like the phone I had was like as big as a freaking car. Like it was huge. And so what I would say is dream big, start small, systemize the shit out of everything, focus on business development strategies, what works, what doesn't work, and really double down on financial management systems and understand the fundamentals. So I would not worry about, I want to be efficient and expedite the process because remember, you've got to learn all this. I say this, the more you learn, the more you earn. You're not going to learn it in 5 minutes. And so you've got to allow yourself and your business time. See, here's the other thing too. To build a big business, you're going to need a lot of humans in and around, whether it's team members, whether it's subcontractors, whether it's vendors and suppliers. You really, and you don't control any of those aspects of the business which you rely on. And so I think there's a side note is human resource management and how do I deal with humans? Like I've got a book that's a little tiny book and I'd recommend it. Most of my team have read Skills with People by Les Giblin. Maybe we should put that in the notes somewhere and get it to them. Oh, I'm getting a phone call. I got an X out of that. Why didn't we put, what do we call it? Do not, too late to do it now. Because I think that might have paused the broadcast for a sec. Anyway, I just missed a phone call. So I think a lot of the time, like I said, dream big, start small, systemize everything, focus on business development strategies, understand the fundamentals of that, also focus on financial management systems and understand, what it is about the finances. Like good thing to Google. I'll tell you what you'll Google. Why do builders go broke? Go and Google that. Because I can tell you, they don't know how much money in that bank account is theirs. Or they end up paying more tax because they show more profit when in actual fact that was a liability. Dude, this is what I'm talking about. I did accounting up to about grade 9 and only because the accounting teacher was hot and I didn't do a very good job in accounting. But unbelievable today, it's just like it's so important. I focus more on the financial personalities of each of my general contractors' business more than anything. We talk about sales, everyone gets it in their head, they go and execute, that's straightforward. The financial thing is a moving target. And, like I've said before, I did a townhouse project, I got a check for $330,000. Like at that time, I could have gone and bought a house cash. And I honestly, I didn't know how much of that was mine, and this is the problem. But all I knew is I ain't going to spend any of it because if I do make a bad deal, or make a bad decision, I'm going to end up in the shit. So, this is what I'm talking about. So, hope that one helps. Another really long answer. Sorry about that.
ND from TikTok.
Andy from TikTok, thanks for your question.
Pros and cons of being a sub versus a contractor.
Now, I'm going to say a sub or a general contractor. Yep.
Yeah.
Look, it really does. Again, I did both. So I did for about 16 years as a carpentry subcontractor, and then the reason I got out is because there was things that happened in the subcontract world that I didn't think was fair, right? So it was like I could sit there and bitch, or I could go and turn. And I already considered getting my builder's license twice, and I didn't because it looked too hard. Like I literally didn't put pen to paper on the application. I'm like, nah, I'm not doing it. And so, that's what really turned me. And this is why I did it for my reasons. You got to figure out whether you can be happy being a sub. And I know a lot of guys that are. They just love doing their 40, 50 hours a week. There's no quoting. I never did quote. I'd get purchase orders. It'd show me square footage. It would show me lineal feet or lineal meters, square meters, whatever the case was. I was familiar with the scope of work. I didn't have to quote. Literally, I just hit accept. Bang. The purchase order would print out, and I would off to the races I would go. So really, I think you want to understand, what you need to do is before you make the decision, rather than me saying, oh yeah, go for being a builder, what I want you to understand is what is it like to be a builder and what are the pitfalls? Google this. What's the downside? What's the shitty parts of being a builder? Or what's the good parts of being a builder? And this is why sometimes you've just got to analyze both sides of the ledger and go, okay, there's more risk of being a builder. There's more quoting with being a builder. That's the downside, but there's more money if I get it right. Okay, there's more financial analysis. That's a pain in the ass. Can I learn how to do that? And then you might find that, oh, geez, you know what? I'm just going to stay being a sub because I did it. Like I said, I had the application twice and I just went back to being a subcontractor. And so, this is why I think you've got to listen to your intuition, because if I tried twice, but it was the third time where I was absolutely fed up with these superintendents and the way they would distribute the work and the way they would criticize because their interpretation of the finished product, I had to live with it, but I wasn't prepared to live with it for any longer than I had to, and so I got out. So, yeah, I hope that helps. What's next?
Max from IG.
Again, Max, let's go.
If we saved up the capital/savings to buy our own house, is it more profitable to work for clients or buying your own house to reno and resell?
Yeah, now you're talking flipping. I'd say both. I know that's a tough one, but dude, it depends on the size of the project. I mean, if it's a quick flip where it's just what I would call an aesthetic renovation, we're talking paint, floor coverings, maybe, countertops that are pushed with backsplash or splashback, depending if you're an Aussie or you're a North American. It really is, it's a tough one. So again, to flip a home, or is it going to be this massive undertaking that's going to take you 9 months and it's a $200,000 reno or $300,000 reno, as opposed to just work and I think the lowest risk way would probably be working for retail, working for homeowners, but I think you could potentially make more money. But boy, oh boy, I know some property investors in town here, and it's there's a lot of holding costs. You need to be able to finance, manage your financial side of things super well, because otherwise, you can get yourself in trouble. And on one flip, you could make good money or you could devastate your future. So, dude, if I knew that, I would pick lotto numbers and I would be going to the Goldie in Australia, or I'd be going to Mexico, sipping martinis, because I don't love this that much. Maybe I do. Anyway, next question. Hope that helps.
Connor from TikTok.
G'day, Connor from TikTok. Thanks for your question.
I just quit my full-time job and have a few decent-sized jobs lined up. Any tips of getting started?
Dream big, start small, systemize everything, focus on business development, and understand the fundamentals as well as the financial management side of things. That's what I would do. You've got to protect the profit. The profit is like a little tiny baby. Okay, you've got to protect that profit with your life. Now, if you've done the estimates on it and you've estimated wrong, I say that profit is a natural byproduct of good estimating, but also in the delivery, if you're not a good deliverer and you're buying more material than you anticipated, you're going to chew up all that profit. So you're going to have a hard time really protecting the profit. So those 3 things or 4 things is what I would talk about. You've really got to double down. And again, it comes down to your understanding of risk and how you manage projects and how you network. network is a big deal as well. So, hit me back if I didn't answer that question on point. I'll have another crack at it. But let's go to the next one.
Peter from TikTok. I'm a subbie Chippy for a builder pretty much full time. The builder has told me to find my own private work for a while. How do you suggest finding work as a young Chippy?
Yeah, okay, that's an Aussie because North Americans never use the term Chippy, so that's a giveaway. That's pretty tough. I would like to know. Can you just keep an eye on that question? I want to know how long have you got before he's giving you marching orders? Can we just ask?
It's Peter.
Is it Peter?
Rex,
yeah, like I'd love to know how long you've got. If he's giving you the marching orders, today for you to go and get your own work, maybe it would be easier to get, a job with another carpenter, as opposed to it's the startup phase. I think the startup phase, what I call the onboard, when I'm bringing on new builders into the franchise group with Smith & Sons, it takes me, I would say, 90 days to flush out all of the kinks because, like I said, we do 4 days of training. It's a massive download. They pretty much walk out and don't remember shit, and that's why we only do 4 days. And then on the fly, during the 90 days, we concentrate on, I ask them a lot of questions. Okay, so how you doing with the job management software? How you doing, applying your markups? How you working with the renovation or construction checklist for materials and labor and everything that we give you? Are you making sure that you're staying with the plan? How's your sales meetings going? All that sort of thing. And so, yeah, to jump out of being a by-the-hour worker for another carpenter or builder and then, as a Chippy, and then going to get your own work on the side, he told me last night and said he'd just wait until material... Was that the right one? Was that Peter Rex Hardy?
Yeah.
Right, he told me last night and just wait until the material... Oh, so he's waiting for material to rock up and he said you got to go and get work to keep yourself busy. Yeah, that's... any way you slice it, man, if you're waiting for materials, I wonder how long that is. I mean, is that 2 weeks or is it 2 bloody months? Look, I would say, go back to old school. I think that letterbox drops in your area still work. Now, if you're in an area like I was when I was a Smith & Sons builder, there was a lot of homes that were ready for renovation. So I would deliver I'd deliver 20,000 leaflets or brochures or letterbox drops. I wouldn't do that. I'd pay a company. It cost me about $1,200. And that would actually bring me in a lot of inquiry. So I think you can't beat doing, if you want to do it in quick time, how long's a piece of string? Yep, no idea. It's Northern Beaches. Yeah, this is, mate, how long's a piece of string, right? So you're sitting there twiddling your thumbs. You got to move, Pete. Actually, you've got to go and do something. So social media, like on Facebook, what I like about Facebook is that people get to know us at their leisure and they get to understand who we are and they can cross-reference with all the different social medias, but they're really not in a position to make a decision now. They don't go to Facebook looking for a builder. They go to Google looking for a builder. Now, I've spent over 50 grand this year to feed my general contractors on Google AdWords. I don't know, Peter. If you're not a licensed builder, that means you've got to stick with carpentry stuff. That means, fences, pergolas, decks, all those kind of carpentry orientated things, if the law in New South Wales is similar to Queensland. So you're kind of limited. But, I think what you can do is when you're doing hand-to-hand combat as far as marketing like that, you'll actually find that you'll start to get referrals and you'll get a bit of a reputation, probably to the point where you might tell your old boss to go, hey, bud, I'm actually good to go. I'm working for clients on my own. Pete, you just got to be set up to be able to operate a business. You've got to have your own, occupational health and safety policies. You've got to have your own, what I'd call general commercial liability. What do they call it in Australia? I think public liability, I think they call it. You've got to make sure that you're set up around a business. And again, just Google how to set up a construction business on Google and you'll get all kinds, or on YouTube, use that as a search engine. That'll be pretty good. You got 3 months on your builder's course. Okay. Yeah, I know. That supervisor thing is a freaking catch, man. How did I hack that? Because I never worked for a supervisor. I never worked as a supervisor. My brother did. He got a builder's license because he was legit. And maybe that's it, man. If you've got that Cert 4 under your belt, the builder's course, maybe go and get a job with Simmons Homes, or don't go and get a job. Oh shit, who was the other company that's going pear-shaped? Is it Metricon? No, anyway, Just go and find another reputable big shot builder and eat shit for 2 years. Get your supervisory credential under your belt and go get your builder's license, and then just learn as much as you can about operating a building company. All right, what's the next question?
Goat Mountain from TikTok.
Goat Mountain, awesome.
What would you say when you have priced a job and the architect asks for a cost breakdown? Tell him to kick rocks or
Goat Mountain, can you tell me if I need to know 2 things: which country you're in, and if you're doing fixed price or cost plus. So watch Goat Mountain's question. He's got to come back to me and give me those 2 pieces of data. Next question.
Joelby One Kenobi.
Joelby One Kenobi.
I think that's how you pronounce
from
it.
From IG or from
TikTok.
Right.
3rd year client side assistant PM for commercial and infrastructure projects. Supervisors on the largest jobs across town. Right. They put question marks in there, but I don't think that's a question.
Okay, keep it going.
That's it. That's all for that question. So I'm not sure.
Oh, shit.
I'll read it again. What?
Yeah, go. Yeah, go. He's Australia fixed price. Yeah, go and tell him, look, dude, you give a fixed price. Here's the deal. Now, if Goat Mountain wants to give up the information, then that would be great, because it would give me some insight. Was it a renovation? Was Goats Mountain, was it a reno, or was it was just a project where he's got an architect? Let's say it's a new home. No, there's no way. If I've given a fixed price, and on new homes, we might be marking up 35, 37%, right? On top of everything. New house, righto. So he's building new homes, and this character wants a frigging cost breakdown. See, the architect is charging a shitload of money to the client, and he's wanting to justify his own. So what he's trying to do now is he's trying to save the client money. Goat Mountain, if you give up that data and you put that into a proposal where you've got a cover letter, where you've got a list of specifications, where you've got terms and conditions, and you've got the final price, my friend, that is all I'm obligated. I said this before, and maybe you weren't with us, but I said, Mr. Architect or Mrs. Architect or whatever, that is proprietary information. That has all my pricing structures included. Unfortunately, I can't share that with you. Now, you got to be ready, Goat Mountain, to walk away from that deal, because he might tell you to pound rocks. And he's probably got, this is the problem. Look, architects are a great source of referral, but I've got a guy in town who's an architect. Matt's a great guy to deal with, you know. But but Matt never really works on behalf of clients. He's just an architect. So he's actually working in my favor because it makes him look good. He just refers clients to us, and then we take over. He doesn't act as a mediator. Your architect is acting as a mediator, and what he's trying to do is justify his own existence, and he's trying to save the client money. So what he's going to do, he's going to go out there and grind all the builders down and do competitive analysis between all the quotes. Goat Mountain, me personally, my gut right now, if it was me, and I don't know you, I don't know your architect, I don't know how desperate you are for work, I don't know what sort of markup you're applying, but me personally, he can pound rocks. He can go and jump off a bridge. I ain't doing that.
Tamal is back.
Tamal is back. Let's go.
Statement-ish. That's what Shara has.
Okay.
Thanks for your valuable answer. Are these podcasts saved? I would love to replay.
Yeah, you're welcome. And this is getting recorded as we speak. It'll go on our Business for Builders YouTube channel, and it will be under, I think, TikTok Q&A as a separate video list. And so, you know, I think they even go through they index the video, so you can literally go down to what it is that you're kind of thinking about and just click on that timestamp and bang, it'll bring you straight up. So this is, you know, I love the podcast and shit, but this Q&A, this is freaking gold, you know? So, righto, yeah, Goat Mountain's dude, it's easier to give birth than it is to raise the dead, right? So if that guy's just being a pain in the ass and he's wanting something from you that you don't want to give up, it's easy to give birth. Go find another client. Giddy up.
Joshua from TikTok.
Righto, Josh.
I've started an outdoor construction company this year. What are your best tips for a new company?
Yeah, again, dream big, start small, systemize everything, focus on business development strategies, including, you know, recruitment, and then double down on financial management and financial management systems and fundamentals. We can't just say, because I've got a shit ton of money in the bank, that my business is kicking ass and taking names. It just doesn't work that way, okay? There's too many big building companies where what happens is their level of liability is here and it's actually covered up by the revenue of jobs that keep coming in the door. The problem is when the revenue stops coming in the door, it starts to uncover all of the liability, right? So all of you guys and gals work your asses off and becoming, carpentry apprentices, carpentry tradesperson, brickies, and you go and do the cert 4. The easiest thing you'll ever do is get a builder's license. And then because you don't understand business development and financial management, all of that hard work that you've done gets absolutely smashed, because I'm telling you, once you get into the financial abyss, it's very hard to climb back out again. And so they're my tips. They're not micro tips. They're macro tips. They're big tips. But they're the kind of things that really sneak up on builders and absolutely just blindside them. Next question. Hope that helps, champ.
Ruben from TikTok.
Young
builder in New Zealand looking to go out on my own. How much work should I book up ahead of me before I take the plunge?
Well, if you thought about it, and this is why, look, I'm all for giving tips and giving away hints and things about it, but you really got to understand, what type of person you are and what your appetite for risk is, and whether or not you can even stand dealing with people. Because I don't know what sort of overheads that you're carrying. So what's your fixed expenses? What is it going to cost you to keep your business with the lights on each month? Is that $3,000, $5,000, $15,000, $40,000 a month? I don't know what it is, because what we work out, we in a really rough sense, what we say is, if your business costs you, let's say it costs you let's say it costs you $20,000 a month to run, then you've got to do X amount of invoicing that month just to cover those numbers. You need to know what those numbers are. So if you mark up like we do, like on a $100,000 job, we mark up 45%, then I've got $45,000 worth of gross profit. Then what I would say to you, you need to finish that job in 4 months. I always look at about $10,000 per job per month. That's when I go, okay, that's a really, really rough 40,000 foot assessment. I'm going, okay, that feels good. Now I'll go back into the estimate. I'll do more micro. But really, you've got to understand that if at $10,000 a month, if you only have one job and you're only making $10,000 per month and your overheads are $15,000, you can see where the shit's going to get out of control. Then next month, you've got to sell more to cover up. Now, remember I talked about this is all your liability and you've got revenue. You're now trying to steal from Peter to pay Paul. And that's why builders, after a 3 to 5 year period, just go tap out and go, I can't do it anymore, because they're in so deep. And that's what you got to be really careful. That's what you got to understand. And this is why I say business development and financial fundamentals is what you got to focus on learning about. And I guess what you don't know. So it's like, well, where do I start? Look at Max, I have no idea. But like I started at the beginning of the show, what I would say is, how do we number these Q&As when we record them?
What do you mean?
Well, how we put the date?
It's like we put August whatever, so let's say August,
right, so September 9th. What is it today?
Yeah, September 9th /
right.
2020.
So make a note of what day it is in Canada. So we're just outside of Vancouver. Yeah. Just make it a note in your calendar somewhere and say, right, when that goes back up online, say next Saturday or a week from now or 10 days from now, go to the Business Builders YouTube channel and double down on this episode, because I already covered off, how we're going to do that. So let's go. Next question. Hope that helps.
El Camacon from TikTok. What's the best advice you can give me? I just started my general contracting company. What's the best way to find leads?
Okay. Well, look, I think, if I was able to have a conversation with you, I would say, what is your average, what work do you want to take on? I even asked my general contractors this right now on one of what we call a weekly lead report. I need to know how many leads how much value do they want to quote on this week, and a whole bunch of other things. But, some of the guys are saying, I want to quote on 300 grand's worth of work this week. But there's some guys that are small that says, I just want to quote on, 50 grand a week. And so really, to get those leads. And so we adjust Google AdWords and the different, Facebook marketing campaigns and things like that. And so, I think for you, I would urge you to probably start small and systemize. Like I said, dream big, start small, systemize the shit out of everything. Because what you want to do is you want to develop technique first, and then speed will come, right? It's just over a time period. So to get leads, what I would start, the easiest way you can do it is talk to everybody that you know. And I would make a list of all of those people. This is how I would do it. Literally, if you said standing start, what are you going to do first to get me leads ASAP? Right. I would write everyone that I know, everyone that's in my phone. I would go top to toe, start with my mum and dad. Right. Who do you know who might want to, and I'd develop a script. I'd go, who do you know that needs a renovation done? Or who do you know that needs a kitchen done? Or who do you know that needs a basement development done? Or whatever. And you literally just keep going through. Now, I don't know how old you are or whatever, but there's probably a good chance you're going to have probably 100 people on your phone or 200 or whatever, and must know all of them. And you could just do this. Hey, Fred, I'm giving you a call. How you been? Trust you well, because, maybe you haven't talked to him for a year and it's kind of weird you're ringing him up. But you go, hey, Fred, look, I know I haven't talked to you a while, but we've been in contact a little bit, over the past 5 years. We're pretty good buddies. What I love to do, I'm trying to start a general contracting business, and I'm really needing your help. And I'm just wondering if you might know someone that might be looking for a general contractor. So this is work. This is you picking the phone up, making the phone call, make the phone call, make the phone call, make the phone call. And then you're going to get used to making the phone call, and then you're going to get used to following up too, because you might end up getting, you might get a list of 25 leads, which would be unreal, right? But I wouldn't take on any more than that. There's a lot of follow-up, and then you make the phone call to Fred's buddy, and you're like, hey, Jim, I got your name and details from Fred. He's a mutual friend of ours. He tells me you want to renovate the basement. Are you still looking for someone to do that? I'm a general contractor, and I'd love to take a look at your project. What do you think? Bang. Like, that's the easiest way to do that. So hope that one helps.
Rabbi
from
TikTok. When would you recommend for a person to go out on their own?
I think there's no time like the present, but you've got to make some assessment as to how you feel about running a business, because this is not the sort of thing that you just start and then go, oh, you know what, I don't want to be a general contractor anymore. The only reason you might do that is because you've been at it 12 months and you've not won a single job and you've got no clients. Then you would go, you know what, I might step off because this thing ain't working out. I think that you walk a mile, see a mile. So I don't know that there is any defining moment where you get this moment and all of a sudden you go, oh, I know categorically that now is the time. What I did is I would say this, walk a mile, see a mile. I think that journey, starts with one step. And I think the more motion creates emotion, right? And so as you begin to move forward, emotion really is the preface to creative. And you need a lot of creative when you're doing what we're doing. We're thinking on the fly all the time. And so, I think that you've got to take a step, but start small. When I say start small, I'm not saying start small in your comfort zone. Like that example I just gave about making phone calls to 100 people that you know, that might freak the living shit out of you. And you're like, I can't do that. Well, I'm saying that is the cheapest, the easiest way to do it. And if you can't do that, then your appetite for risk and the confidence in yourself is going to need some development. Now, there's just a time where you've got to feel the fear and do it anyway. Does that make sense? Give me some nods. Yep, loving it. You've got to feel the fear and go do it anyway, because it's just not possible to see so far down the track that you can actually give some comfort for yourself that it's going to work out. It just doesn't happen that way. Fortune favors the brave, and you've got to be a brave son of a bitch to get into the building game and go after it. So that's what I would say. And just keep educating, guys and gals. That's all I would say. The more you learn, the more you earn. Giddy up.
Legs Sevs from TikTok.
Legs Sevs. Yep.
What's a good profit margin to strive for and markup on materials? He's from Australia.
Right. So he's given me two terms. He said margin and he said markup. Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, please understand the difference. I've got office staff right now that know the difference between markup and margin, but I've got builders that still can't get their freaking heads around it. And that's because they all just bundle that shit into the same thing when it's not. Here's what I would say. The difference between markup and margin. Markup is the action, margin is the result. I'll say it again. Markup is the action, margin is the result. So when I mark up by 45%, I think the profit margin's about 33%. Let's say you're marking up by 25%. The margin is 20%. So you just got to understand that process. So this is what I would say. If you're doing new homes, 35%. If you're doing renovations, we mark up 45%. But I'm telling you, there's guys out there. There's other business coaches that'll advise you to mark up 50 and 55% on renos, which maybe it's going there. And I can see that we could probably jump a few points on our numbers, not a problem. But I'm telling you, you have to be able to demonstrate value to the clients. A prudent client who is ready to spend more money in their perception with you than the other guy has got to be understanding that, okay, if I go with Smith & Sons and with Max, it's a white glove, top shelf, really boutique kind of approach to renovations. I can see that makes, and they give me fixed price. Sold. You want to be able to demonstrate massive value. When we're always significantly more, 20, 30% more than the average, population of builders. And the problem is for the other builders is that they're just shooting from the hip. I'm saying to clients, it'll be either this rough number or this price range, but I'm going to back that up and we're going to go and do the work to nail down the fixed price because I'm a professional builder. And that's how come we actually can charge a premium for what we do, because we don't deliver the same product or same service as our competitors, which means we're no longer another tree in the forest. We've demonstrated value, and more often than not. And of course, if you've got a website and let's say you and I go head to head on a project, and all I got to say is, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, go check out our website. There's 15 or 20 video testimonials from our past clients. Slam dunk, they're just going to go where they can see somebody else. There's a transfer of trust that happens because of those videos. So yeah, that's another way to demonstrate value. Next one, we have got to get cracking.
Cade Myers from TikTok.
Cade Myers from TikTok. Thanks for the question.
I just started a metal fencing company. Any advice on finding good help?
Yeah, dude, you got to move a lot of dirt to find the gold. You've got to be fairly aggressive. So, sorry, what was the name again?
Cade Myers.
Cade Myers. Look, and here's the thing. So, just to add on to my last point is the fact that we do mark up at a healthy range. What it does is it gives us if we do our job right and we've estimated well and we're delivering the product on time and on budget and everything like that, it gives us what we call more operational capital, which then enables us to not only just run our business and not only just to reinvest in our business with, let's say, equipment and things like that. It allows us to offer human resource that we need more money. So that's what I would say. You need to be developing your business model in such a way that you're making good operational capital. So what we do is we try and offer an extra $5 an hour to carpenters. We try and, we offer them extended medical. So, vision and dental or optical and dental, those sorts of things. Because what we want to try and do is become a preferred employer. Now, you could end up giving that job to someone who's a wood duck or someone who's a pretender or someone who just doesn't have the chops. But what you've got to do is hire quickly, fire quickly at the same time, but fire quickly with kind candor. Don't be a dick. Don't be an asshole. Just let them know that, look, that you're not a fit for the business. It's not working out the way I, thought it might work out. I've got to let you go, and of course, if it's inside the 90 days, you don't need to give them too much notice or whatever. But yeah, just do it nicely and gently. They've got a life, they might have a family to provide for. You just got to apply as much empathy as you can, but you've got to look after your business, really, dudes and dudettes. It's not about you doing anybody any favors. So so it goes back. You've just asked me the question, how do I recruit better? By setting up your business model where you're making good operational capital, where a portion of that can be actually spent on finding good talent and investing back in good talent as well. So I hope that helps. Again, if you want to hit me up on email, one question at a time, max@businessforbuilders.ca. Go. Next.
Spencer from IG.
Spence.
Is it possible to jump straight out of an apprenticeship into starting my own construction company, given I'll have a builder's license and a partner by then?
I'd like to know more about your business partner, because that's a massive asset. If he was a 30-year-old that he'd been in the game for 15 years, I'd say gold. If you guys get on well and you can keep the band together and you're not going to have, each other bitch slapping each other at the office or whatever, then great. But if your business partner doesn't bring any value, dude, this is the only way. I've got 3 business partners, so I kind of know. And I'm at the lowest. I'm at the bottom of the totem pole, right? So I've got to work the hardest. I've got to produce results more than anybody does in our business. So I know what it's like to work in a partnership arrangement. We've just got a really sweet kind of arrangement which really works for us, and that's why it's super important. So yeah, that's an X factor. I would love to know, how much experience that his business partner's got. But also, again, I would say dream big, start small, be patient, focus on business development protocols and fundamentals, and also double down on your financial assessment understanding and know all about, either overbilling, underbilling, work in progress reporting, double entry bookkeeping. How do I assess the level of liability in my business? You as the business operator need to know that. It's no different if you're a builder, and we've all got to have this. We've all got to have a ninja understanding of what all of our trades do. You got to know what, you know what framers do because you're probably a framer, but you got to know what plumbers do, what electricians do, what HVAC guys do, what roofers do, what the gutter and downspouts guys do, what the siders do, what the cabinet makers do, what the tile setters are doing, what the drywallers, the mudders, tapers. I've got to know what is when they are hitting the mark as far as quality and service and everything like that. Well, the flip side of that is the other side. You've got to understand the business management side, the business development, and the financial assessment as well. So, yeah, just, focus on those things.
El Kamacon.
El Kamacon from?
Not sure, they didn't put it.
Okay.
I just turned 18, and tomorrow we're starting a 24,000 square foot job for stucco and paint.
Right.
So it's just a statement, I guess.
Yeah, good job. Like I just said, oh boy. I mean, I've never had a bad first meeting with a client, but, I've had to deal with some challenging clients at the back end. So, I wish you all the best. Make sure you systemize in your approach. Make sure you communicate. If it's not in writing, it doesn't exist. If you've done that $24,000 job on a handshake and you haven't got a service agreement or a building contract.
24,000 square foot.
Oh, 24,000 square foot. You need to make sure, just all I'm saying is documentation. Because if there's a shit fight, it's like the lawyers are going to ask you, well, what contracts did you have? And so it's just like, well, I didn't have anything. It was a handshake. Yeah, even an email is not going to be good enough. It's too easy to fight that. So just watch your back. That's all I would say. Next.
Joshua.
Joshua.
Question. Have you got any favorite quoting apps or programs that you rely on?
Yeah, we don't. Oh, well, quoting programs. We use a thing called Build Exact. Can you tell me what podcast that is? I think it's
75.
Is it?
Hold up. Don't quote me on it.
No. Okay, so, yeah, I don't use any apps. What's that? Okay, Business for Builders podcast, episode 75. It talks about what software that we use. We use a software called Build Exact. And that is what over 100 franchised operators, general contractors, builders in Smith & Sons use. I would say it's not perfect. I don't know what software is. It's always developing. They're always implementing some improvements and some changes, which is okay. But yeah, as far as apps go, I know one app they use Magic Plan. Magic Plan is a good one just for doing, like I had one of my operators come in and show me, and he basically did a quick floor plan on his phone on this app, and it was really cool. And then you can do a bit of a virtual 3D walkthrough as well. So that's one. I've not used that one personally, so I can't vouch for it, but I've seen it being used right here in my office. And so that's something that, that guy is actually heavy duty, and he uses a thing called Monday.com as well. That's more of a customer relations management system, but he manages a shit ton in that as far as dealing with clients and making notes and storing files and things to do with projects. So Build Exact is what we use, and that's so BUILDXACT. And then Monday.com is what he would use. Pipedrive is another one. It's what we use for all of our recruitment stuff. So, let's go.
Beamer Excavating.
Okay.
Love the content. Here for all your excavation needs.
Attaboy. Appreciate the love. Anyone need an excavator, some earthworks, give, who was it again?
Beamer Excavating.
Give Beamer Excavating a call. Check them out. Righto. There's a quick prompt. I mean, what do you call it? A quick promo. Yeah. I drink Corona, by the way. Sweet. Let's go.
James from TikTok. James from statement.
Yep.
Be confident in your work as well is the main thing.
Yeah, you have to be confident in your work and your delivery. In really every aspect, you've got to get confidence in everything, in every aspect of your business, right from doing the work all the way through to finance, which I've just banged on about 10 minutes, 20 minutes.
Andy from TikTok.
G'day, Andy.
In your experience, do women do good in sales in the construction industry as far as contractors taking us seriously? I know my question sounds dated, but it's honest.
No, who asked that question?
Andy.
Now, I would love to know, is Andy a male or a female? Okay, we'll just see what happens.
They said as far as contractors taking us seriously. So I would assume.
Okay, don't want to make the assumption, Andy. If you can just confirm, I know that on TikTok only 10% of our audience. What's that? Male. So 10%. Right, I got it. Only 10% of our audience is female. So I kind of would love to see. I would actually love to talk to a female general contractor about a Smith and Sons franchise, because I think the gals, not to diss the boys, but I think the gals have just got the attention to detail, their customer relations capability. It really does, their professionalism, their guns, and I just think they need more airtime. But I know that one of my general contractors has a project consultant, and we just had Melanie up to do 2 days worth of sales training. But I think, and I've got my franchise salesperson is a 20-year-old, and she's on a way to selling to franchises to general contractors. And so I don't believe gender is a deal at all. It's irrelevant. I just think that you've got to systemize, and this is what I've done. If I can get a 20-year-old female to sell general contractors franchises in the construction sector, you can do project consultants. We will dominate, like no problems at all. What?
He just said, I want to get my mom, who has a strong sales experience, to sell for me.
Dude, you've just got to systemize, Andy. So what you've got to do is you've got to, everything that's in your head, you've got to document your sales process, everything in massive micro detail. So this is why Smith & Sons do what we do. We've got a 700-page, probably more than that, 700-page operations file. It's literally almost 4 inches thick. And we've got a documented sales process. We've got sales scripts. We've got the QTS, which is the quantity takeoff service. We've got gates that you've got to go through in the sales process. The minute that the client doesn't want to go through one of those gates, we've got to basically deliver a bit of an ultimatum, because remember, they've got to buy in accordance with our selling program, not them, not me sell in accordance with their buying program. So Andy, you've got to have, I think your mum would be brilliant if she's got a strong sales experience, dude. Nailed it. Get her going. But don't do it until such time as everything that you do in the sales process is on paper. That means Word documents, dude. That's it. And I'm telling you, I literally drafted up a referral manual this week to get my general contractors to start knocking on realtors' doors. It was called a referral network building strategy or manual. That's what it was. Why am I doing that? Because I know what to do. But what I'm trying to do is transfer that information so someone can learn it and then use it and execute in that light to make the business better. So, mate, that's an easy one. That's a no-brainer, dude. And this is why, like I said, 2 weeks ago or a month ago, we had one of our general contractors. He got Melanie up here, and we run her through 2 days training. She got a 500-page project consultant file, which took everything out to do with estimating and job management and sales, and really because it overlaps significantly. And we put that into one file, and we sent her home with that after 2 days of training as well. So absolutely, I would get cracking on that. Next question.
Pato Soto. I'm so sorry. I just butchered it.
Let's go. We'll call him Pat.
Yeah,
Pot?
Pat. I like that.
Okay.
How do you manage your payroll? Do you have a partner?
Well, look, I will assume, how do I manage my payroll here? I've got 5 staff. I have a financial administrator, and we use software that syncs with our accounting software. We use Xero. That's the accounting software that we use because we're originally from Australia, and we use WagePoint, and that does all our payroll super simply. So, so I've got a human that looks after it, and I've got cloud-based software for both accounting and what do you call it? Payroll. Yep. Next one.
Aussie Jared. I'm doing a small job for a friend. My helper damaged a $3,000 door. Who should pay to replace it?
Oh, dude. So just read me the question. Just read me the question again.
I'm doing a small job for a friend. My helper damaged a $3,000 door. Who should pay to replace it?
I need you to come back to me real quick. Tell me who supplied it, because I got some bad news for the client if the client supplied it. and obviously it's damaged. It's not. I want to know is it repairable? Like, can we repair it? And most clients aren't going to buy into that shit. So, look, here's what I'd say. Who asked the question again?
Aussie Jared.
Aussie Jared, if you supplied the front door and your guy damaged it, you are obligated to fix it. Now, do you have insurance that might be able to help you out with that? It might, for a $3,000 item, you basically got to write off and start over. It would be worth paying what we would call over here a deductible, or what is the excess. You'd pay a $500 excess for a $3,000 door. The flip side is if it is supplied by the client and you're engaged on labor only, this is not going to do your reputation any good at all, but the obligation is now on the client because they supplied it. This is why when clients say to me, "Oh, Max, I want to supply the vanity and the toilet suite and the tap sets," and I'm just like, I'm not doing it. If my guys damage your shit, you've got to pay for it. That's the conversation we have before we go anywhere near a contract. And so that's why I say if guys damage my shit, then it's not on you at all. There's no conversation around it. I've got to go back to the store and get another toilet suite or whatever. So they're kind of the two. Now, if you have to look, this might be the third option, but this is between you and your guy, which you can't make this happen. I had one of my general contractors. He wanted to dump a $4,000 bill on his employee, and it's shit for brains. You can't. It's illegal. You just can't do it. If your worker wanted to come to you and say, look, cap in hand, I feel really bad and I want to help out. I've only got $500, but I'll give it to you. Dude, that's the best you can do. So it's a super, super tough one. I'd like to know whether or not it was his door or whether or not it was Jared's supplied by the client and he was just there as a what you would call it, as a labour only. Next one. Let's go.
Jess Mitchell.
We're going to have to put a cap on questions, I think. I don't know how many we've got.
We got 1, 2, 2 more lined up.
Yep. Okay. All right. We got
more.
about another 10 minutes. So let's and that'll give people plenty of notice. So if we want to wrap up in 10 minutes, we can. So all right, let's hit it hard and fast.
Jess Mitchell from TikTok.
Yep.
How
Thanks,
do
Jess.
you know when it's time to take the next step and expand the business?
Look, I don't know. I think it's an intuition thing. You've got to look at your business performance to date. And I often talk about there's two sides of business development, and that is there's expansion and then there's consolidation. And the word consolidation means to make strong that which you already have. So I would say this: to know when it's time to go expansion is to basically know that, okay, everything that I've got going on right now is fairly solid and I'm feeling fairly comfortable. That's actually probably an intuitive indicator that you're ready to go for another expansion phase. When you go, oh yeah, it's humming, like when it's swinging like that, you're like, okay, maybe I could grow the business because I've developed systems around what I'm doing to the point where I'm comfortable. And be careful you don't get caught up in your own comfort zone as well. But if you're about business development, you love the game like me. I mean, we've got, this company, we want to take, we're nationwide. We could sell franchises in Ontario like we've done in British Columbia. And we're also ready to go into the United States. But I know that I don't want to go to the United States yet because I don't believe I've consolidated the business here in Canada enough to give me the confidence to go into the expansion. Now, everything is poised, ready to go. Everything is in place. I just got to then make the commitment to go start marketing and begin ready to execute. I'm not there yet. So I'm still in the expansion in this country first, and then I'll look at, consolidating and making sure that when we get to that point, are we ready to go to the States? No, not yet. So we just keep on working here, and we're doing the business here, and we're consolidating here, and there'll come a point maybe next year where we will make the jump and start advertising in the States. So that's what I would say. If it's swinging, it's going really well for you, now might be the time for you to expand because it sounds like you've consolidated. But if you're stressed out, don't think about expanding because you really haven't got your shit sorted. So hope that helps.
Jovan from IG.
Jovan Ruddle.
Hey, young GC in commercial TLs, what would you say is good advice to gain respect and initially meeting new people? Right, because when you're young, like I've said this on one TikTok video or in a podcast, is like
just be comfortable with being underestimated and disrespected. It's just the way it is. I don't get underestimated and disrespected, but I'm freaking 49 years old. I've been in the game for 34 years almost. So, yeah, TI, tenant improvements. Yep. So, yeah, no, that's cool. So I just think what you can't do is you've got to be patient. And here's what I would say to you is that people of integrity expect to be believed, but when they are not, they allow time to prove them right. I'll say that again. People of integrity expect to be believed, but when they're not, they allow time to prove them right. So what you've got to do is, if you believe in yourself, you have just got to keep on going despite the challenges. Remember, pressure or weight builds muscle mass. Okay, so just use that disrespect and that underestimation to spur you on to get bigger and better. And it's kind of like, I'll show those bastards. That's kind of what we're getting at. So that's what I would do. You got to be able to carry the weight. Resistance builds muscle mass, and use that time to really double down on your systems and your business understanding. And then you'll every dog has his day. You'll have your day in the sunshine. Don't worry about it. Just be patient, work hard. What
Joshua from TikTok. Is it okay to get big quick? Reference to the quote, "Don't get too big too quick."
Sure. Look, I think
the final question.
I was going to say, give me a heads up when we run out of questions, because we'll start to close. Look, I think you can get too big too quick. But again, like I just talked about, as far as the expansion and consolidation, to your point, Josh, I would say that you can, what we call a military term, is to outrun your supply line, right? And so sometimes what you can do is you can go and you might have a great marketing ability, and then what you find is if you've got 50 inquiries, all of a sudden you're going to burn half of them because you just can't get to them all. So that's kind of outrunning your supply line. So I think if, you could get a couple of big jobs, and then you're busy doing construction, you employ, a few guys to get it done. And then at the end of those jobs, you got no more work. Guess what you got to do? You got to fire your guys, because you can't afford to hold them and pay them for no work. So, I think what you've got to do is understand that developing the business solidly and predictably, there's always an element of risk, but I think you can actually develop the business from what I would say a consistent growth curve that is very strong, as opposed to going to what we call top heavy, and then you basically fall over. So that's what I would say. Andy, you're welcome, man. I wish you all the best. Stay close. Keep talking to me. Okay. Anything else? Anything else?
No.
We might just sit tight for a minute. I'll have a drink.
We have something here, but I don't know how relevant it is.
Right.
Expensive /HD trucks have a 2001 dually diesel, but want to add another 2015 or newer diesel in
US.
In US, yeah.
Yep.
Do GC residential and land work machines, etc. Not, yeah.
Okay, what he's saying is he's looking, he's got a 21-year-old vehicle.
Yeah.
And he wants to upgrade, or he wants to add another one, because obviously I don't know if that's a Dodge or what, but it's a dually diesel, so it's a pretty cool tank. And he wants to add that or a newer diesel. Look, I think this is where it comes down. So when I talk about doing work in progress accounting, what it does is it exposes or shows you at a one moment in time, a snapshot in time, usually at the end of each month. It'll tell you that, okay, you've got 300 grand in your bank account, but your level of liability is 270,000. And that doesn't really mean anything because it's just 1 month. But if I've got 6 months where the level of liability is showing that your let's call it operational capital is increasing, then what you've got is you've got a trajectory of positive cash. And so when it comes down to making a decision of whether or not I want to buy more equipment, then you can go, you know what? When I do a 6-month assessment, a financial assessment of my business, and then I can break that down into 6 work in progress reports, and I look at my level of equity or my level of liability in the business, and I understand where my equity position is, you can actually run off and buy the vehicle that you think is most appropriate with a very clear conscience. The problem is that, in doing that, so the challenge is, I forget that, was it Alex who asked me that question? Yeah, Alex asked me that question. I haven't seen his book, so I don't know. I would say that that he won't have a bookkeeper that understands work in progress accounting either. Double entry bookkeeping, getting a snapshot of your business in time, working out what your level of liability or what your equity position is in your business. And it's like, this is why I say we general contractors get too much. We get a lot of work, we get a lot of bills, but it's covered up by this revenue that keeps on feeding the business. Although the amount of revenue coming in, if it was to stop, the cash at bank is not enough to support to pay the bills. And this is why building companies go broke overnight. And most building companies fail within the first 5 years, which is super sad. And this is why. So Alec, you need to just double down. I want you to Google, or I want you to go on YouTube, and I want you to go and look at overbilling, underbilling, right? And it will talk about the fact that you know when you invoice, you show a massive profit, but then as time goes by, you pay a lot of bills, and you're in a negative cash position. And so, just wondering your take on trucks, as they are a big part of the business. Look, I mean, I'm driving a 2022 F-150. Right, like, so, but I start out building the business, and I was driving a 2000 and, what is that, a 2001? 2002. No, I think it's a 2002. Just an extra cab pickup, and I was a CEO on my business card, baby, and I was driving a 20-year-old vehicle, and I was like, it had wind-up windows, it's got vinyl floors. I've actually still got the truck because I want to put it in a museum one day as the first wrapped vehicle in North America. So, dude, because my view is it could get me an A to B. That was good enough to tow my 12 by 6 by 6 enclosed work trailer. Like, I put decals on it, and even though it was a 20-year-old truck, it looked really commercially acceptable because it had decals on it, right? So, man, I'm not going to give you any advice. That's absolutely why we do what we do. We focus on the financial analysis and assessing the guy's level of liability on a monthly basis. So when my guys come to me, I know what equity position they hold in their business, and I can say, yep, grab that 2015. You're not quite ready to go to a 2022, but I'm telling you, when you give us 2 years and you can actually get rid of the 2001, trade it in on, you can be rolling in a late model vehicle. Because we've done the assessment. And that's the magic of the business. If you want to build a business long term that is profitable, because then you'll be able to tell whether or not, guys are asking me, what markup percentage? Well, if you can see your equity position in the business is cash flow positive, you're like, well, we're making money. And we all want to do that. It's not really rocket science, but how we get to the data is super tricky. And even most bookkeepers and accountants will do it at the end of the year, and they'll go, oh, you're losing money. And you're like, holy shit. Whereas we do it monthly, and we're going, hey, we've got a negative trend. It's going down. You're worth less money today than what you were 30 days ago. We've got to make more sales, and we've got to start invoicing. We've got a problem. And then we got a chance of digging them out. Whereas if you don't do it at all and you get bad news 2 or 3 years in a row, guess what? You're going to tap out financially because you just can't cover your bills. Righto.
Final question.
We're
done taking questions.
Righto.
Any hard lessons you have learned building architectural homes from BC Custom Building?
Right. That looks like that's CBC Custom Building.
I have
Yeah, we missed the first C. Don't worry, the old boy picked it up. We got it.
I'm just reading what I see.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, look, any hard lessons you've learned? Look, I don't know. Here's what I would say. I had one guy busting my balls on TikTok, and you know, he's like, oh, you say that you can't build a multi-million-dollar business on the tools, you know, because you failed at it. And I sent him back a message going, mate, I fail every day. That's why I'm winning. Now, you know, I don't believe I had what he's saying is that I had a macro failure. I don't believe I've had any macro failures, but I have micro failures every day where I try things, they don't work out, and I basically go, well, we've got to tweak it, get better at it, or get rid of it, one of the two. So what I would say is that I would say the hardest lesson, architectural homes, look, business in general, whether you're building homes out of show homes or, you know, display homes or whatever, or whether you're, you know, doing architectural homes, custom homes, or whether you're doing renovations, look, I think the lessons are all the same, is that if you run out of money, you die. Your business will fall over. And so, it's why we're not really talking about, you know, estimating checklists and things. I think most of us guys and girls know how to understand, you know, what goes into a project and how we put an estimate together and labor and things like that. And we can all get better at that. The problem is if we get better at that and we still don't understand our equity position financially in the business, that is one of the hardest lessons that you will learn, because you will go broke, and you will go broke, and you will not understand, to this day, you will not understand why, because it's a complete mystery to you and your bookkeeper, because your accountant's just going to go, well, you weren't charging enough. And it's like, great, but I needed to know that 2 years ago. So I'm telling you, the lessons that I've learned is off the back of, other failures of the statistics, and it doesn't matter what neck of the woods you're in.
Michael Miller.
It doesn't matter what neck of the woods you're in, you're still going to experience that failure, and it's just not cool. So that's what I would say is, I look at the stats that most building companies, a large majority of the building companies, do not last more than 5 years, and it's all got to do with their financial equity or their equity position. So, that is where it's at. Alex sort of said there, got to remind yourself where you started. Yeah, absolutely you do. Renovation 911 wants work with us. Dude, jump on smithandsons.ca. I'm assuming you're going to be in BC or Alberta, because if you're not, it's going to be a bit difficult unless you want to buy a franchise. That's a different story. I want you to jump on either businessforbuilders.ca and go to the contact page. Yeah, good on your CBC, mate. I hope that helps. Or jump on the smithandsons.ca and go to the bottom of the homepage and hit join the team and put your data in there, and it'll end up on my front desk computer. So renovation 911, just make note of that. Oh, he's in Kelowna. All right. Righto. So I wonder, you found him? All right, we found your website, pal. We've got, hey? Oh, no, we didn't. He doesn't have a website. What are you talking about? All right. So I don't know if he's a carpenter. Send me an email, max@businessforbuilders.ca. Shoot me that email, and let's see what we can do, man. Like I said, we hire quickly, fire quickly. If you want a job, we'll let you go as nicely as we can if you're not up to pace. But if you want to chat with me about a franchise, then I'm absolutely happy to do that as well, dude. So I'm not sure what you're doing, if you're a builder or you're just looking for a carpentry position or whatever. Just let me know. So would love to have you chat. All right, folks. It doesn't look like I've got any more on my screen. Going once, going twice. Are we good? We happy? Hey? Sold. All right, we'll see you on the next live, which might be Tuesday next week. That'll be Wednesday midnight or something crazy if you're in Oz. But we're going to go live again on the behind the scenes on the podcast recording, and then we'll be live again same time next week. Have a good one. Be safe on the weekend, and look forward to helping out with you again really soon. Cheers, everybody. Bye bye.